It's Kyle here, and I literally just got home from DragonCon. Wrapped up the con today on Monday. Went 4 days. There's kind of an unofficial fifth day on Thursday, but that's more for people who are staying in the hotels and stuff, so I've never actually been to that. But went Friday through Monday. A lot of fun, really long, so I was really tired. So I'll go over some of my experiences at DragonCon 2017. And you'll see me look at my phone. The reason I'm looking at the DragonCon app to remind myself of what sessions I attended, because I attended so many, it's days get mixed up and I'm afraid I'll miss one. So I want to give everybody a kind of a good overview of everything I went to. But before I get to the sessions I went to, I did want to touch a little bit on cosplay, because that's really what DragonCon is known for. I know many people think DragonCon is the top cosplay conference in the country. And the costumes this year were awesome. Way too many to kind of highlight all of them, but a few of the really cool ones I saw was a great cast from The Fifth Element, lots of great Star Wars stuff, really cool elderly couple that was cosplaying as the couple from Up. I really like that. The Zoltar machine from the movie Big, the Tom Hanks movie in the 1980s where he's turned from a little kid into a grown adult. The Zoltar machine actually did that. Somebody cosplayed as that machine, which I thought was really neat. By far the most popular cosplay I saw at this year's DragonCon was Rick from Rick and Morty, which kind of surprised me. I thought it'd be a Star Wars thing or a superhero thing, but I saw so many Ricks at DragonCon this year. It was amazing, even a few pickle Ricks. Now the weird thing was, even though there was a ton of Ricks, I only saw a couple Morty, so I didn't really see that many Ricks that were cosplaying with a Morty, which I thought that would have been a real popular kind of couple costume. But Rick by far was the winner of 2017 DragonCon, most popular costume. But with the cosplays out of the way, let me kind of go over some of the sessions I attended. So on Friday, I got off to a very great start. It's a great start to DragonCon for me. I attended a session for Stargate. It had some stars from Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis. The one I was most excited to see was Christopher Judge, who played Teal'c in Stargate SG-1, and that is one of my favorite shows of all time. I love that character, and it's the first time I've ever actually got to see somebody from the show in person, and they had some great funny stories about the show. You can tell all the cast members that were there still really love Stargate, even though it's been off the air for a while, and they're very passionate about it, and they all seem very happy to talk about it, and they all seem to get along very well. So that was a lot of fun, because sometimes you attend a session, you can tell that the cast members that are there are just there because they're viewing it as a paycheck. They don't really are not that passionate anymore, and they'd rather be somewhere else. So they're just going through the motions. You can tell people at the Stargate panel were really having a good time on the Stargate panel, which always makes the panels a lot more fun. So after the Stargate panel, I attended a session on fearless leaders in science fiction, which was basically talking about the various leadership characteristics that you see depicted in sci-fi and the different ways you can go with that. So they looked at stuff from like Firefly to Battlestar Galactica to Stargate, I think was even talked about, Babylon 5. So they kind of went over the various ways that people can be depicted and how that will impact the storyline and stuff. So that was kind of an interesting one. That was, I wasn't really sure what to expect from that one, but I really ended up enjoyed it a lot. Then next up, I attended a session for Starship Troopers. It was actually, this is the 20th anniversary of Starship Troopers, which I didn't know until I went to DragonCon. And a lot of times DragonCon will have a movie that normally is not featured at DragonCon, but it's a big anniversary year, so they'll bring the cast back. So a few years ago that was the Karate Kid. This year was Starship Troopers. I don't really remember them doing something Starship Troopers related in the past. They could have, it's just I haven't noticed it, but this year they were doing a big Starship Troopers thing with that. So it was kind of interesting to see that. I always liked that movie. By no means is that one of my favorite movies of all time, but I always really enjoyed it a lot. So it's kind of interesting to hear a little bit about that. So you had Patrick Muldoon and Casper Van Dien talking about that movie and stuff and what it was like, and if they'd like to see Starship Troopers come back again. So that was kind of interesting. Next up, the last session I went to on Friday was a session about Grimm. And it was a fan panel discussion. It was basically talking about, now that Grimm had wrapped up, what the fans thought about the run of the series, if they were happy how it ended, would they like to have seen more seasons, or did they think it ended at a good spot. The panel that led the discussion were very knowledgeable about the show, so that was great. The fans there were very passionate, so it was a fun discussion about a great show that in a lot of ways I was very sad to see come to the end. But so I always enjoy those fan panel discussions. They're always a lot of fun. On Saturday, I did not attend the DragonCon parade, which is probably the most famous event at DragonCon. I was super exhausted after Friday, so I decided not to get up as early on Saturday, sleep in a little bit, and then go down to DragonCon a little bit later. And I should mention, I actually don't stay at the hotels at DragonCon. I stay at my house, and I just drive to a local subway station and take MARTA, which is Atlanta's transit system, down to the con every day. So that is about, with the drive to the station and the train ride down there, that is about an hour 20, hour 30 commute both ways for me. So it's not a short experience, but it's easier than trying to park near the con if you don't stay at the hotel. So, but the first session I attended on Saturday was a Battlestar Galactica session. They had a ton of cast members on there that was really, really good. They shared some great stories about the show, their memories. They talked a lot about Richard Hatch, who obviously has recently passed away, and that was a very moving part of the session. And you can tell the people that on the Battlestar panel, they're very much similar to what I said about Stargate SG-1. They seem to be very happy to be there. They love talking about the show. They seem to all get along really well, so it was an awesome panel. Really enjoyed that. Next up, I attended the Star Wars trivia contest, and this is kind of interesting. Basically, the night before on Friday, they did a written test, and anybody that made 30 out of 50 or higher qualified for this session, and basically the final round to crown the champion of Star Wars trivia. I think I know a lot about Star Wars when I watched this trivia contest. It really humbled me. Those are true Star Wars experts. By my comparisons to me, I am a super low amateur. I think they must have gave, I lost track of how many questions they gave, because there were 10 people that qualified for this round. I think they each did, the first round was 10 questions each, and then there was a second round that had 15 questions, and then there was the final round was another 3, so probably about 150 questions. I might have known the answers to 10 to 15 of those. These were very, very insanely specific questions, but it was super entertaining to watch, to see these people, their amazing Star Wars knowledge. It was very impressive, and it was, like I said, it was one of the most impressive displays of knowledge I've ever seen. Even the person who finished 10th out of the top 10 knew 99% more about Star Wars than I do, so it was very humbling in that regard. But I really enjoyed it, and this is a yearly thing they do, so if, like every year I'll go to DragonCon now. If I'm able, I think I'll try to go and watch the Star Wars trivia contest. Next up, I attended a fan session on The Expanse, which is a really cool show on the Sci-Fi Channel. This session was okay. The panel wasn't the best. They kind of let some of the fans in the room kind of take control of the session a little bit. Where in the fan sessions I kind of enjoy a lot, the panel kind of leads the discussion and the fans kind of chime in. With this one, there were some fans in the room just dominated, and it kind of became a little bit unorganized. So I don't think they were able to talk about the show as much as they wanted to, because they kind of got veered off onto certain topics that people were kind of just chiming in on. So it was still a kind of interesting session. I enjoyed The Expanse. They talked a lot about the book series, which I haven't read, so that was kind of interesting. Next up, I attended a fan session into the Badlands. Great show on AMC, and this was a great fan session led. Like I said, it's almost the exact opposite of The Expanse. The panel was very knowledgeable of the show, kind of got the discussion going, and the fans there chimed in and kind of added to that discussion. I really enjoyed that. I don't really know anybody else that watches into the Badlands, so it's nice to actually be around people that watch one of my favorite shows. Then I attended a session called Amazing Star Wars Authors, which included 5 authors. A couple of my favorite, Kevin Anderson, Timothy Zahn, and Claudia Gray, who I've all read books by. Kevin Anderson was the author really that got me into reading Star Wars books, because he wrote the Young Jedi Knights books. They were kind of like, the kind of preteen books. And then Timothy Zahn is my favorite Star Wars author of all time, and one of my favorite authors, period. Wrote my favorite Star Wars book, probably my favorite sci-fi book, in the Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn trilogy. Created my favorite Star Wars character, Grand Admiral Thrawn, so it's very cool to hear from him. The other two authors on there were authors I haven't read yet, but E.K. Johnston and Delilah Dawson. All the authors were very interesting. You can tell they all kind of got along very well. I'm sure they have to interact a lot. They all were very interesting. And even the two authors I haven't read before were very cool, and it made me want to read their books and stuff. So I really enjoyed that session. And then the last session I attended on Saturday was the Buffy Horror Picture Show, which is actually a live performance. It's kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And basically what they do is on a couple big screens, they project and show the musical episode of Buffy once more with filling. And while they're projecting that on a screen, they have a stage in the middle, and a cast actually acts out the show as it's being played on the screen. Very, very fun. They encourage the crowd to sing along, interact with the cast, yell stuff at the people. If they don't like the characters, yell at them. If they like something that's happened, cheer for them and stuff. So it was a really fun show. I definitely recommend, if you go to DragonCon in the future, check out the Buffy Horror Picture Show, because I believe from what they said they do this every year. So it was awesome. On Sunday, first session I attended was actually a Preacher Podcast. It was a live podcast of a Preacher Podcast, as the name implies. Another great AMC show. Sorry. It was first time I've actually been somewhere where the podcast is being filmed, so that was kind of an interesting experience. It was a great discussion on Preacher. There were a lot of great questions from the audience. Very funny panel, so I really enjoyed that a lot. And I decided to double up, and then immediately after that, I went to a Preacher fan panel, which again had some more great discussion on the show and stuff, so that was really cool. After that, I got to attend my first ever Buffy and Angel panel. The last time I went to DragonCon, I missed out. I got in line and I did not make it into a room for a Buffy panel, so this is the first time I got to do a Buffy panel. It was awesome. Really enjoyed it. It featured Julie Benz, Charisma Carpenter, and Claire Kramer. Great panel. Really enjoyed it. Loved it, and I just love Buffy so much. So anything Buffy related is going to make me happy. So that was great. And then the last session I attended on Sunday. Or I lost track what day I'm on. The last session I attended on Sunday was one on the Roman military and the type of equipment they used and the tactics they used. DragonCon actually does have kind of like a historic track where they talk about a lot of kind of ancient warfare type stuff for like reenactors and stuff like that. They kind of lead those. So that was kind of interesting. I had a huge turnout for that session. I was kind of expecting that to be small, but the room was packed. Then on Monday, and Monday's a shorter day. It wraps up around mid-afternoon. There's not as many sessions. A lot of people that are out of town. People are leaving on Monday. They're checking out the hotels, going to the airport. So it's a lot less crowded. So you don't really just go to too many sessions on Monday. It's kind of winding down. So I only attended 3 today, which I am filming this on Monday, as I think I said. First, I attended a very cool session on The Walking Dead and its influence on the zombie genre in general. Really interesting session. Kind of talked about some of the zombie stories that kind of helped inspire The Walking Dead, and then how The Walking Dead is shaping the depictions of zombies in current media and future media, from TV, movies, books, stuff like that. The panel kind of discussed where they think the genre is going, and the role that The Walking Dead has had in that. So that was a really interesting one. Then I attended another Star Wars session. This was a solo session featuring Timothy Zahn, talking about Thrawn, his previous Thrawn trilogy he wrote, but then also the recent book he wrote entitled Thrawn. So basically, where Thrawn was in the past and where he is now. I love that session. I could go through 10 sessions just about Thrawn. So that was very cool. And then the last session I attended was a Sleepy Hollow fan panel, basically talking about the show ending and how we felt the show wrapped up, if we liked it, the last season changed a lot, if we were cool with those feelings and stuff like that. These are very good fan panel discussion. I think is a good way for me to wrap up my DragonCon. I enjoyed it a lot. So I literally just got home from DragonCon, so I'm a little tired. But I did want to mention one quick thing before I wrapped up. I did get to see Cat of Diamonds on YouTube, who I'm a member of Project Nerdy with. So it was nice to meet one of my YouTube friends I'm a part of a channel with. So that was awesome. So that was another great part of DragonCon. So if you're into going to cons, if you're into nerdy stuff, if you're into cosplay, I strongly encourage you to check out DragonCon. It doesn't get as much attention as Comic-Con, but I think it's one of the best cons in the country. It's huge. I think they usually have 70 to 80,000 people that attend, so it's a great con. They put the membership for next year on sale right now, so it's actually cheaper to buy now than if you wait till closer to the event. So if you're thinking of going, I'd encourage you to go ahead and buy a pass, because it'll be cheaper now than it will be closer to the 2018 installment. So anyway, so that's my thoughts, feelings on DragonCon 2017. I had an awesome experience. Loved it. If you attended DragonCon, let me know in the comment section below what some of your favorite parts are, either this year or in the past. If you attended any other cons that you think were really awesome, let me know about that as well. So, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you the next time.